Washington, D.C. is teaming with government officials and politicians who are planning big changes that will affect everyone in the dairy industry. Changes in guidelines and regulations.
Changes in policies and legislation. That's why we're teaming up in June to make sure our voices are heard.
Regulatory Roundup and Advocacy Days are a powerful combination of back-to-back IDFA events designed to bring dairy leaders up to speed on activities that are important to our industry.
And provide opportunities for our voices to be heard in face-to-face meetings with those responsible for creating and implementing the rules that govern our business.
We'll start with Regulatory Roundup on June 16th and 17th at the Washington Court Hotel right on Capitol Hill. The Roundup is a forum where dairy leaders can meet face-to-face with high-level government agency officials who shape the regulations that affect dairy. You'll have the opportunity to hear directly from them about important issues such as the Food Safety Modernization Act, the Nutrition Fact Panel, dietary guidelines, and trade agreements. We'll also have panels on food safety, nutrition policy, and cybersecurity. Most importantly, these sessions will give you a chance to exchange views with these key regulators.
Right on the heels of Regulatory Roundup, we'll begin Advocacy Days, which we used to call the Washington Conference. We decided to change the name to emphasize just how important it is for IDFA members to advocate for dairy with our country's political leaders. Advocacy Days continues the Washington Conference tradition of holding briefings to update you on pending legislation, followed by personal meetings with your own local members of Congress and their staff. Important legislative issues this year include child nutrition reauthorization, international trade deals, GMO labeling, and more. Your presence here on Capitol Hill in the halls of Congress and meeting with key policymakers does make a difference. The more of us that show up in person representing the interests of hometown businesses, the more likely our messages will be heard and taken seriously.
It's an important role each of us can play to help ensure that our country's leaders understand our point of view on these important decisions.
And besides, we top it all off with the annual Capitol Hill Ice Cream Party, which is always a fun time.
You don't want to miss that.
Please join us for both Regulatory Roundup and Advocacy Days, June 16th through 18th in Washington, D.C. Visit the IDFA website to find out more.
Regulatory Roundup
and Advocacy Days,
back to back on the front lines.
Be here and be heard.
And remember, if you're an IDFA member and register for Regulatory Roundup, your registration at Advocacy Days is free.